Some goodbyes arrive quietly. Others arrive wrapped in emotion so strong that you could almost feel it through the screen. This was one of those moments. When Eamonn Holmes shared what many are calling his most emotional goodbye yet, it didn't feel staged or rehearsed. It felt real, honest, human. Eamonn has always had a way of making people feel at ease. With his familiar voice, quick wit, and unmistakable charm, he's been a steady presence in countless homes for years. For many viewers, he's not just a broadcaster, he's part of the routine, part of the comfort, part of everyday life. And that's exactly why this moment hit so hard. There was something different in his tone. Not dramatic, not heavy, but thoughtful, like someone pausing to take it all in. His words carried reflection rather than sadness, gratitude rather than regret. And yet, emotion sat right beneath the surface, gently refusing to be hidden. What made this goodbye so powerful was how personal it felt without being overwhelming. Eamonn didn't try to make it bigger than it was. He didn't lean into spectacle. Instead, he let sincerity lead the way, and that sincerity spoke louder than anything else could have. There was romance in the moment, not the grand cinematic kind, but the quiet romance of appreciation, of acknowledging shared history, of honoring connections built over time. You could sense it in the way he spoke, in the pauses between words, in the small smiles that appeared even as emotions rose. And yes, there was humor too, because it wouldn't be Eamonn without it. A gentle joke slipped in, perfectly timed, easing the tension and reminding everyone that laughter still has a place, even during emotional moments. That humor didn't take away from the feeling, it deepened it, it made it human. Fans felt it immediately. Reactions poured in from people who didn't expect to be so moved. Some admitted they laughed one second and felt emotional the next. Others shared how Eamonn's words reminded them of their own transitions, moments when they had to say goodbye to something familiar, even when they weren't quite ready. That's the thing about moments like this. They don't just belong to the person experiencing them. They belong to everyone who sees a piece of their own story reflected back. Eamonn's goodbye wasn't about closing a chapter with sadness. It was about acknowledging a journey with respect, about recognizing that change doesn't erase what came before, it builds on it. His words carried a sense of pride, not just in what had been done, but in the relationships formed along the way. There was a softness in his delivery that fans rarely get to see, a vulnerability that made the moment even more meaningful. It wasn't about weakness, it was about openness, about allowing emotion to exist without apology. What stood out most was how much care he showed for others. Gratitude flowed naturally. Appreciation felt genuine. He made space for everyone who had been part of the journey, reminding viewers that nothing meaningful is ever created alone. And somehow, that made the goodbye feel less like an ending and more like a handoff, a moment of transition rather than departure. A pause, not a full stop. The atmosphere wasn't heavy, it was tender, like the last moments of a conversation you don't want to end. You linger, you smile, you take one more look back, not because you're afraid of what's next, but because you want to remember what mattered. There's something deeply romantic about that kind of goodbye. It says, this meant something, and that message resonated far beyond the moment itself. Fans described feeling unexpectedly emotional. Some said they hadn't planned on watching closely, only to find themselves fully invested. Others said it reminded them to slow down, to appreciate the people and moments they often take for granted. Eamonn didn't speak like someone losing something. He spoke like someone honoring it, and that made all the difference. There was excitement hidden within the emotion, too, a sense that whatever comes next will be approached with the same warmth, humor, and authenticity that have always defined him. Change can be scary, but it can also be full of possibility. That balance between emotion and optimism is what made this moment unforgettable. It wasn't just about how it felt, it was about what it represented: growth, gratitude, forward motion. The goodbye also reminded viewers that it's okay to feel deeply even when things are good. The tears don't always mean sorrow. Sometimes they mean appreciation. Sometimes they mean connection.
And in that way, this moment brought people together. Strangers connected over shared emotion, over shared memories, over the realization that familiar voices can leave lasting impressions on our lives. Eamonn's ability to blend sincerity with humor, reflection with warmth, is what made this goodbye feel complete. Nothing was forced, nothing was rushed. It unfolded naturally, like a conversation between old friends. As the moment passed, it left behind a sense of calm rather than emptiness, a quiet warmth, the kind that stays with you long after the screen fades. It served as a gentle reminder that the most powerful moments aren't always the loudest ones. Sometimes they're the ones that make you pause, smile, and feel something real. If this goodbye moved you, you're not alone. Let it be a reminder to appreciate the journeys you're on, to laugh during emotional moments, to say thank you when it matters. Because goodbyes like this aren't about what's ending, they're about what mattered. And Eamonn Holmes delivered a moment filled with heart, humor, and honesty, one that didn't just break hearts, but touched them. Some moments bring tears because they hurt. Others bring tears because they're meaningful. This one did both, and that's why it won't be forgotten.